Welcome to Talk Travel with Heather Tate, North Mississippi's podcast for savvy travelers. Talk Travel with Heather Tate is a weekly podcast that airs every Monday on the Shark 102.3 FM radio station based in Ripley, Mississippi, and is then released as a podcast. Travel advisor and travel enthusiast Heather Tate of Whimsical Destinations gives listeners expert travel tips curated through the years of personal and professional experience. By clicking subscribe, you'll have a new travel tip to add to your collection delivered to your podcast library every Monday. Talk Travel with Heather Tate is brought to you by Sun Bear Studio. Sun Bear Studio is a boutique recording studio in the heart of Ripley, Mississippi. When you record with us at Sun Bear Studio, we can mix, master, register, and publish your music, your podcast, or your family story. Email us when you're ready at sunbear@jc.media.
This program was recorded at Sun Bear Studio in Ripley, Mississippi.
Good morning, Northeast Mississippi travelers. This is Heather with Talk Travel with Heather Tate, and I'm so excited to share my adventures and tried and true tips with you, whether you are also a seasoned traveler, a hopeful traveler, or currently an armchair traveler, meaning you're going to follow along with us from home for now. This is our 189th episode of Talk Travel with Heather Tate, and this week I'm taking you to Antigua for a sweet surprise. So, a lot of you, when you have heard of this island, you may have heard it pronounced Antigua, and that is how I pronounced it for many years before going the first time. I believe it was in 2019 when Logan and I went for a very short trip. But we were told multiple times by the locals who lived there that it is actually pronounced Antigua. So I still have to remind myself to correct to Antigua. But we went several years ago, and like I said, it was a short trip. We were just there for 4 days, and I felt like we had just skimmed the surface. And even after our second trip, which was only 1 day, it has still left me wanting for more. But we did get to experience some things this time that we didn't do last time, and I have a clear vision of what I want to do next. So I'm going to share with you about our 1 day as a cruise port in Antigua that we went when we were there a few months ago. So it was our boys' first time. And I had considered multiple things because, as you have heard some of our stories from our most recent cruise in January, that was out of Puerto Rico on a Royal Caribbean cruise, as you've heard that my first couple attempts didn't go quite as planned for some of my excursions, and this was going to prove to be one of those. So I had considered a tuk-tuk tour of the island's rainforest and some of its 365 natural beaches. So yes, they like to claim that you have one beach for every day in the year. But what about on leap year? They actually have found that there's a hidden beach where they have 366 beaches. Not everybody can find that one, but they've told us that even on leap year, they have you covered. So I thought about doing a tuk-tuk tour, which are like this very brightly colored, think about maybe like a moped meets a bicycle taxi. And that's a tuk-tuk. You see them sometimes in India and Indonesia, but they have them in Antigua. They book up very quickly, as I found out. So if you're doing a cruise where you're only going to be in a port for 1 day, you have to act fast if there's a specific excursion you want to do. If you're more flexible, then you can make a more last-minute decision. But we found out the tuk-tuk tour will book up quickly. So then my next item that I wanted to do was a glass boat. Now, this wasn't a glass bottom boat. I've done those several times throughout the Caribbean, in Jamaica, St. Lucia, Turks and Caicos. So I've done glass boat tours before where it was just the bottom. This is where the entire boat was see-through. So you could see through the sides, the bottom. It was going to be very easy to appreciate the beautiful color of the water in Antigua and all of the sea life underneath. It would have been beautiful, but the weather had other plans. Sometimes our carefully laid plans go awry. And that's why it is helpful to have a backup for your backup. And that's what I had to do on this trip. So we thought we were good to go. But then 30 minutes before our excursion was set to meet, we were getting ready to get off the ship. We had all of our stuff for our day on the boat, and then we were going to maybe find a beach afterwards. I received an email that said because of the weather, our tour had been canceled. We looked outside on our balcony. It wasn't raining. Now, there were some dark clouds in the sky, and we thought, well, maybe they know something we don't know, because the weather can change very quickly in the Caribbean. So when I called, we went to the meetup place anyways. I thought, you know what, let's just go, see if they have any other ideas or suggestions for us. I had some ideas of where we could go, but I kind of was hoping maybe we could just do a private tour. We got there, they called, and I missed the call, so I called back, and they were like, you could just take a taxi to the beach. I said, well, I think we want to do an island tour to experience some things. One of the things that had been on my list since the last time I visited Antigua was to try black pineapple, which is known for being the sweetest pineapple in the world, and it is only grown in the island of Antigua. Now, let me clarify how small this little island is. It's 14 miles wide and 12 miles long. So it almost makes a perfect circle, almost. And this is the only place that black pineapple grows. So I thought, well, maybe it's going to be in season right now, and it only grows on certain parts of the island. I think the southern part of the island. So I thought if we do a taxi tour, maybe, or a private tour, then maybe we can go to the beach, see the rainforest. But high up on my list was to try the black pineapple. Well, that's all Christian needed to hear, because as a lover of pina coladas, my 9-year-old also loves pineapple. So he was on board with that. We found that there were lots of taxi tours that were ready to whisk us away for an island tour. But you have to be careful. And here's what I mean by being careful, because not all tours are going to be the same. And they want to take people in a group in a taxi. And so if you have some people in the group that want to go to some locations and some that want to go to others, then they may be disappointed. You want to have that arranged on the front end, because some people just wanted to go to the beach. And if you just want to go to the beach, you need to take a taxi individually with your group and go straight to the beach, because we ended up getting to do a full island tour, which is what I wanted to do. But it was not good for those that thought they were just taking a fast track to the beach. I knew that I also wanted to see the rainforest and Shirley Heights. I'm going to tell you a little bit more about that. So at this point, I was determined to save our day. And Christian just wanted to try the black pineapple. Logan didn't really care what we did. He just said that he did not want to have a full day at the beach. He did not plan on getting in the water. He just wanted to explore the island. And London loves all the things about the history and the culture. So I was like, we're going to find something for everybody on this trip. So we had a taxi driver walk us to his van, and it just so happened his name was Elvis. Well, immediately I felt at home, and I really wanted to tell him that in his van, he had not one, not two, but 3 blood relatives of Elvis Presley himself. But Logan forbade me from telling that, because he does not like me telling everyone when we're traveling that he is Elvis's cousin. It was really hard on me to sit on that information all day, but I did it for him. And so as we're going, Elvis is telling us all about the island. And he's telling us we're going to go to Shirley Heights, which I'd mentioned before, and that's someplace that Logan and I had gone to. It was a military site from the 1600s, like a lookout. But it is known for being one of the best places on the island to get a beautiful picture of the landscape. And you have a perfect view of Nelson's Dockyard, which is below, and the harbor, absolutely gorgeous. They do a big sailing race in April every year. And so you can see all the sailboats dotted throughout the harbor, because it is a natural barrier for hurricanes. So it was a perfect location for the British Royal Navy when they were there. And it is a restored, Nelson's Dockyard is a World UNESCO Heritage Site, and it was a restored dockyard that is the Georgian time period, 18th, 19th centuries, and it is still active. The world's only Georgian-era active dockyard. So very cool, because they still make sails there today. And we had seen it from Shirley Heights when we had gone before, but we had not experienced it by getting to walk through the buildings, seeing the ships, seeing them making the sails. So it was kind of like when you go to a Living History Museum, where there's restaurants, little cafes, coffee shops, an actual museum part that tells you a lot about the history, but then you can see how it is a working shipyard still to this day. So I was really excited at this point. We were going to Shirley Heights. We were going to Nelson's Dockyard, so we got to experience that. We had the history. We got to see the sights, take some beautiful pictures. Shirley Heights is known for its Sunday sunset parties. So this is where they have a big barbecue, steel drum bands, so you've got music, partying late into the evening past sunset into the evening. And so that's something I would love to do when I go back. So after that, even though we had had a lot of sightseeing already, we were going to go through the rainforest. And this is where Elvis told us he would be on the lookout to see if someone who was selling fruit on the side of the road happened to have some black pineapple. And so he knew where to look, and we made a pit stop. So this wasn't even on the itinerary for the island tour, but because I had asked about it and he told everyone about it, everyone was really excited. He saw someone that he knew, because that's the thing that if you are from the islands, it is not uncommon for it to seem like a small town here in Mississippi where everybody knows everybody. And so he knew someone who was selling fruit. We stopped, and she already had the black pineapple cut up. It is not black on the inside, so I guess it's from the outside that it gets its name, but it is less acidic than a lot of pineapples. Like sometimes pineapples will burn your lips, or you'll taste it on the tongue, the acidity of it. It's more sweet, less acidic, already cut up, and for, I think it was $8 for an entire to-go container, the four of us could share. I can say it's the best pineapple I've ever had in my life. Worth the trip to get to go on the island tour for the black pineapple in and of itself. After that, we did some more sightseeing on our way to the rest of our stay, which would be on the beach. We actually went to Darkwood Beach, which is one of the most famous of the 365 beaches. They have a beach bar, restaurant, inflatables in the water, but we just floated in the sea. And when I said we, that means Christian and I, after having our black pineapple, we floated in the sea while Logan and London just relaxed under a palm tree and a sign that said Sea Turtle Crossing. I think they kept waiting for sea turtles to walk by, but they did not. But they decided that they were going to relax from the water. And so Christian and I enjoyed ourselves at the beach. Water is stunning. Like, we're talking the most beautiful shades of turquoise and other shades of bright electric blue that you can think of. There are so many other things that you can do in Antigua that I also had on my list to do besides the tuk-tuk tour and the glass boat tour that I know that I need to go back. And I'm already planning to go back. So here's what I would like to do the next time. You can actually swim with pigs here in Antigua. They do have a beach where you can do that. Just like in the Exumas in the Bahamas that's known for swimming with pigs, you can do that now in Antigua. They have a 360-degree tour all around the island by boat where you can see so many different beaches. You have a local lunch. You can stop. You can swim. And you can relax on the beach and see so much by water. And so that's one of the things that I plan on doing. You can go zip lining in the rainforest. You can go to Stingray City in Marine Park. You can kayak through the mangroves. Now, let me go back to Stingray City. There are other places throughout the Caribbean where you can also swim with stingrays. And so I've done that before, but I have not been to Antigua to be able to swim with the stingrays there. So these are all things that I would like to do. I've done that in Grand Cayman, the Grand Cayman Islands, but not in Antigua. So when am I going back to Antigua? Well, we actually have a girls' trip on the books for November 2027. We have 8 to 10 women already signed up for this trip, and we're going to stay at Sandals Grand Antigua. That's where I stayed the first time when Logan and I went several years ago. It was actually voted the world's most romantic resort. Can you go as a girls' trip? Yes, you can. It's 2 per room. They're king beds, so you would share and split a room in half. So you can go on a couples trip like we did, or you can also go as a girls trip and join us next November. There's so much more to see to this island. I know that's not going to be my last time to go, and I want to go back with our boys and stay there as well and have an extended family trip. Antigua is known as the Friendly Island. That's its nickname. And it's also, I think, the land of 365 beautiful beaches where you can experience a different beach every day of the year. That's all the time we have for this week's episode of Talk Travel with Heather Tate. I hope I inspired you to maybe try a new island in the near future. But wherever you go, whatever you're doing, remember, life is a great adventure, and it's yours to make. So take the trip, make those memories with your family. You won't regret it.
This show is made possible by JC Media, LLC in Ripley, Mississippi. JC Media owns the Shark 102.3 Classic Rock FM radio station where the show is hosted, and Sun Bear Recording Studio where the interviews are recorded. We need your feedback and support. If you listen to the podcast on a player like iTunes, Google Podcasts, or Amazon Music, please subscribe to the show and leave us a review. We also have an email in which you can share your feedback. That email is theshark1023@gmail.com. Subscribe to our podcast on your favorite app or stream episodes online at shark1023.com/podcasts. Today's episode was produced by Melinda Marsalis. It was edited by Rick Williams and engineered by Chris Marsalis. The podcast technician is Joyce Grady.